Telling your story also inspires other people. I wanted to impact people. Till you try something you don't know. A lot of the values in the positioning. Trust your instinct and just follow what excites you one step at a time. But just listen to yourself. You just get started.
Welcome to Crafting Success, a podcast brought to you by ClassBento. My name is Robbie and I'm going to be your host during this podcast series. And if you haven't heard about ClassBento before, we're a marketplace for arts and crafts workshops with the intention of improving our customers' social and mental well-being through getting creative. In this podcast series, I'm going to be chatting with some of our workshop providers to get some great advice for you on how you can turn your creative hobby into a full-time business. Today, I'm going to be chatting with Emily from Yougi Botanical, who has a whole range of aromatherapy workshops and candle making classes. Thank you for joining us today. I'm really glad you could make it and come and chat with us. Just to start with, for the viewers who don't know who you are, could you introduce yourself, tell us about the business, and then a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Emily, the founder of Yougi, and I started Yougi 5.5 years ago. I was working in buying and product development for 12 years, and I saw all the synthetic materials going into all the products across categories, so beauty products, fragrance, candles, and I really got a bit disillusioned with the industry. So I started making my own as a hobby. And just the kind of short story of that would be the hobby turned into a business and I started Yougi. Really just started as a passion project and grew into a business.
How would you say Yougi stands out from other brands?
So everything about Yougi is tuning into you. So reconnecting with yourself. We have a line of products, so candles, essential oils, diffusers, and then we do hands-on workshops in our Shoreditch studio. So it's all about disconnecting from like busy life and coming back to you, making time and space for yourself. So what makes us stand out is the experience side, but also our natural products and our transparency. So we disclose everything that goes into our products. They're 100% natural. All of our materials come from the UK. Our essential oils are steam distilled, cold pressed. Their wax comes from a UK manufacturer. So we try to get everything as close as possible, but we tell you exactly what's in the product. So if you pick up a leading candle for £60, you might say sage and sea salt, but you don't actually know what's in it. So you don't know if it's natural or synthetic, whether it's got good synthetics, bad synthetics. And with ours, you know exactly what's going into it. So we really try to build education around our products, and then also we go one step further where we actually teach you how to make them yourself.
What were the biggest challenges in scaling the business from being homemade to fully running it as it is?
It was definitely a learning process.
Yeah.
And it was quite humbling to be honest with you to start off with. I was working for retailers with millions and millions of dollars budget, and I was flying around the world developing product and going to snazzy trade shows, and then I started the business. I had £2,000 to put into it and my kitchen. So it was it was a leap of faith, but also it was just a huge contrast to what I was used to. So from a very glossy kind of storefront and website and a big business behind you, having that through my buying background, to just kind of rocking up to a market stall with your candles was quite different. But it was great, and it was a huge learning curve. And being starting small and listening to your customers and hearing what they like and what they don't like, you have being a small business, you have much more interaction with your customers. So you have that much deeper understanding of what they want and that first-hand knowledge. So it was quite easy then to develop products on the back of that. So they were telling me what they wanted in a candle, they were giving me first-hand information saying they wanted a diffuser, or they wanted a new workshop, or they wanted a more bespoke workshop. So I developed the business around what people wanted. And I think there was a real kind of need and want for people to experience making the products as well. So and that's really kind of what sets us apart from other candle brands is the workshop, because people feel part of the community. And when you've come in and sat down in a workshop for, 1 to 2 hours, you really connect with the brand, but also with people you're doing it with and the community. So that's all helped us scale. So learning what people want, people actually coming to your space, learning about the brand, and then just falling in love with it. And then thirdly, understanding the retailers. So from day one, I understood how retailers think and what they want. And I just didn't like anything on the market myself. So I wanted to really just kind of shake up the industry a little bit and have it in a really beautiful, natural, accessibly priced product, candle, diffuser, which you could use every day for a mindful ritual or a scent ritual. So that really kind of helped me scale as well. So we got into retail quite quickly. So after a year and a half, we were in Selfridges. And then after about 2.5 years, we were in 25 John Lewis stores.
Wow.
So we got in. So we were really lucky that we met some great buyers along the way that understood our vision and kind of I suppose gave us a bit of a chance to prove ourselves. But yeah, so we were quite lucky. But that definitely, my background in buying helped. So I knew how to pitch to them. I knew how to present. I knew what they were looking for, like a niche in the market. They're looking for positioning. They're looking for like beautiful branding. So that all helped.
Well, I was just about to ask, did you think your background in buying that you mentioned influenced that sort of journey much?
Definitely did. And I saw the good and the bad side of that industry. So, but just having that understanding of how to market and present and to retailers really did help.
I know you've mentioned before about the lack of transparency in the industry. So during your buying days, did you ever come across that much? Like, is that how you noticed that?
Yeah. I noticed it in my buying, but also just as a customer myself. And I have quite sensitive skin. And, I couldn't understand why my skin was so itchy every day after, a shower, or like spraying a perfume, I would get a headache. And I didn't have like eczema or any skin condition. It was just irritation from product. And then I researched it a little bit more and saw that like there's a complete loophole in the fragrance industry. So you can, if you look at the side of a perfume or even a cream, you'll see on a perfume, you'll see aqua alcohol perfume and then nothing else. So you don't have to disclose what's in the scent. So you can put in really not whatever you like, but you can put a lot of things in. So under that perfume title, there could be 200 synthetic chemicals, but they don't have to list it on the ingredients because it's a trade secret. So it's IP protected. So similar to Coca-Cola is IP protected. You don't know what's in it. It's a loophole, and really brands do maximize it. But I think people are becoming smarter and smarter. And like, I want to know what I'm putting on my skin. Like a lot of synthetic scent, not all synthetic scent is bad, and that's quite important. It's just that you don't have any transparency over it. So you don't know whether it's good or bad. And I want to know what's going on my skin personally. And I think more and more people do, because if it's a bad synthetic, it can be like a hormone disruptor, can irritate your skin, can cause all sorts of health problems. And also the natural version smells better. So it's good for you. And also, in my opinion, it smells better.
So would you say that was like one of the major, like, I don't know, ways you planted this seed, I guess, to think of like launching Yougi? Was it the transparency, or were there other things you noticed during your time as a buyer?
Yeah, I think when I finished buying, I was pretty burnt out. I had worked in the industry, and it's very, season after season, what are you bringing new? And it's, you're launching 100, 200 products a season. So it's very fast paced, and it's all about margin, and not that much love goes into the product. So when I launched, what I wanted to do is really build a soul-based business and have intentional product. And I'm only going to launch something when I love it and it's ready, and it's, and I know people will love it too. So that was really important. But kind of going back to finishing work, I was burned out. I went to India for a yoga teacher training. So I said, I'm going to give myself a few months off just to see what I want to do next. I really wanted to set up a business, but I just wasn't sure if I'd do it or not, because, you know, it obviously takes a lot of confidence, and I had a very good job and I had a good career. And so I said, I'd give myself a few months. Went to India, did a yoga teacher training, was there for 5 weeks. And I was talking to my teacher at that time, and he was saying, you know, I was saying, I don't really know what to do with my life. And I felt very like I'd lost my way. Like, of course, I could follow, you know, the path of the corporate career, but I was just like, I just don't, you know, wasn't feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, if you meditate every day for half an hour for a month, you'll be crystal clear on what to do next. So I just had so much disconnection in my mind, and my logic brain was saying, you should get a job, and a good job, and you've worked this hard, and you know, but actually my gut feeling was start a business and, you know, offer something that was really soul-based and heart-based business. So I did that, and after that experience, I was really crystal clear. I was like, I'm coming back, setting up a business. This is what I'm going to do. And then the momentum just came quite quickly, and it launched within a few months. But it was an amazing experience. But, you know, I think starting a business as well, you just have to have that belief in yourself. And the way I got over that fear was, I can always get another job, but I may as well give this a go.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, what's there to lose? Like you said,
exactly.
You already got to that level before. You can just go and do it again.
I could get another job.
Yeah.
So I think
safety net to have, to be fair.
So I think taking that fear out of it, that really helped.
Yeah. Was there any lessons that you learned from being on that side of the table that's helped you present Yougi to other companies, like you were saying before, Selfridges, John Lewis and stuff? How were you able to kind of take that experience and flip it, I guess?
I think it definitely did help. I think the most important part of like a business, any business really, is storytelling. So really telling the story. So my story, the way I, you know, started Yougi, but also the story of the product. So behind every scent, we have a story. So for example, our Happy scent is inspired by Sicily and the beautiful Sicilian citrus, orange groves and ylang-ylang. So you get this kind of intoxicating floral scent at nighttime. So it's like a citrus floral, and you really can kind of like, when I tell the story in the workshop, people really kind of imagine themselves there. And when they smell the scent...
You whisked me away just then. I was just like, oh.
When they smell the scent, it really kind of makes it three-dimensional.
Yeah.
So every scent has a story. So our new romantic is inspired by bathing rituals in North India, where you've got beautiful rose baths and sandalwood burning in the background. Then our forest bathing is inspired by the ritual of forest bathing in Japan. So it goes through, I won't go through them all, but they all have a story. And that element of storytelling, I think, is really important for any business, but especially one that's you know, that's kind of a heart-based business, or like you want to connect with your customer, and that's very important.
Yeah.
And then the Yougi, our branding and our packaging is very simple, and it's quite tactile, and we do that because we want, you know, to kind of, I suppose, the simplicity and the transparency of the brand to come across.
I love that you kind of added an extra layer to, I mean, everyone loves that, like, escape the rat race. So like your own personal story, that's already very kind of, you can sell that easily, can't you? Because people like, I think everyone dreams of doing that, really, like following their heart, sacking off their job, going for something like creative and special and something meaningful. But then like that really translates well when you've got the story behind each candle as well. I feel like you said, like it can take you to another place.
And I think when I was starting the business, none of my friends are entrepreneurs, and I didn't actually have a network of women, or even of men who I knew had started businesses or this type of business. So kind of, I think telling your story also inspires other people, you know, to either, you know, think, oh, well, maybe I could do that too. Or, you know, I could, even if it's on a small scale, you know, do a little part of that. Or so I think that's quite important.
You've definitely done that for people, especially people that attend the workshops. Like, it's not just people that will buy the products, is it? Like, if you've managed to convey that sort of feeling through the workshops?
Yeah, no, we've had quite a few brands start on the back of the workshops. So other people, like people have come to the workshops and said, oh, like I want to do this too. And that's lovely. No, I really try to encourage that, and I don't see it as a competition. And I feel like there's enough for everyone. And also because the market, most of the market, so like 95% of the market is the big multi-corporate brands which are using paraffin and synthetic scent, which isn't good for you, and it's not good for the planet. So I see it as, if they're doing good, like it's bringing good vibes to the world, which is good. But also I think there's enough for everyone. So I don't see it's taking from me. It's taking from the bigger corporations.
I love that. In all these podcasts so far, we've had a real lack of, I guess competition is the word, but like everyone has been super open and like accommodating and just wants their like more people to add to the community, and like no one's like gatekeeping it or anything. They're always just like, nah, more people. I don't mind. Like we'll train you. Let's go. You do it. And I love that. It's so nice.
There's so many people in the world. I think to have that kind of very limited, I think it's not good for you as well. So it's not good for you personally to have that kind of mindset. So
I guess it makes you feel negative then as well if you're going to have that approach to it. But circling back to how you started, just one last thing on it. What really, like, I'm hoping this will help maybe inspire people. This is what made me thought of this question. But what really gave you that confidence then to take the leap? I know you already had like your journey, but what else sparked it? If you were going to give someone some advice on maybe like, they can't go and have this amazing trip in India and enlighten themselves kind of thing, what would you say to inspire people to just be confident and take the leap?
I think a lot of people don't know what to do. So they're like, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. Or I've got this idea, but I don't think it's going to be successful. And I think you just have to start. So, the business is always going to develop. It's going to change. You're going to have iterations of it. But just start with something. Like Grace Beverley, for example, she has a very successful business, Talis Sportswear, but she started just by selling like PDFs online of like workouts. So, your business can it can evolve, but I think just getting that momentum builds your confidence. But it also, just gives you some momentum, because you could just be thinking, in your bedroom, like for 4 years, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll come up with an idea, did it. But it just starts small. That's what I would say, if you want to do it. But I don't think it's for everyone. Like I do have people come to the workshops and they're like, I really want to do this. This is like the best place to work. And it is a lovely place to work, but you're still running a business at the end of the day, and it's not for everyone. Like you kind of have to do a bit of everything, like finance, you have to do marketing, you have to manage a lot of people, you have to do the hands-on workshop, the product development. So, and I quite like that. I like kind of multitasking in a few different areas. But if your whole career has been specialized in one area, I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone. And I think that's okay.
I kind of get that. I know people personally who have done it and then all they've wanted is to have paid holidays and sick days, and then and vice versa. There's other people that absolutely can't stand being in an office 5 days a week, and they just want like a bit more flexibility, and they don't care if it means that they've got to graft in the evening sometimes or work really early some other days, as long as they've not got that same like monotonous everyday thing. But
so I think there's no right way, and I think there isn't a right time either. So like I think to have that career, you build a lot of skills and knowledge. But then, some people go into entrepreneurship very early and that works for them as well. So I don't think there's any right way. But what I love about it is the learning. So I'm learning things every day, and I really love that. So when I was working in like corporate career and in product development, because I was quite pigeonholed, I get bored quite easy. So I quite like the challenges that come up every day, and it kind of stretches me, and I quite like that.
So we spoke a little bit about transparency already, and I know it's one of the core values of Yougi as a brand. How would you communicate this through your branding and your marketing so it's quite obvious to the customers?
Yeah, I mean, so with our brand, it's very simple. So I keep it very simple on purpose, trying to convey that kind of simplicity, transparency. We use kind of uncoated like tactile paper. So our products, we try to get across that way. And then marketing, it's getting harder and harder every day through the marketing channels. We do try to do a lot of educational content. So we have like a blog post that we do every week. And then we have, on Instagram and TikTok, we try to do quite a bit of educational without it being boring. So it's kind of getting that balance of entertainment and education. But it is really important. And but how we convey it is that we just tell people exactly what's in the product. So if you go to our ingredients on our website, you'll see exactly what essential oils are in it, what eco soya wax or whatever we use in the product, we have it. So that's how we kind of practice what we preach.
And I imagine that helps to build confidence, I suppose, building trust with the customers, with the consumers, just because, I mean, I guess so many other companies within the industry, like you mentioned before, are just like lying or don't kind of show what ingredients are actually involved. So yeah, I think that's really clearly communicated through what you're doing, so they can see that definitely must like build a level of trust, I guess, in the brand.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think just being authentic and having the workshop element as well, so people can really have a deeper understanding of the product and smell it and touch it. And you can just know by the smell that it's natural because it just smells different. But it is difficult. It's a real challenge because companies like they have like millions of dollars in marketing, and they've got very smart people working on their team, and it's not that they're lying. It's just they're trying to sell their product, and they're kind of maybe embellishing and kind of hyping up the kind of not the natural, but like making it a little bit more plant or natural looking. So it's quite, as a customer, it's quite difficult to know what you're buying these days. And just trying to kind of go that step further, saying, what exact ingredients we have. Hopefully, it is something that we're working on all the time and trying to improve. But that's something that we do.
And is it difficult for you to kind of maintain these values whilst you're growing, and also kind of making it accessible to a wider audience? So maybe people who aren't as into that side of things, they're just getting into candles. They just want to buy a nice candle. They don't really care what the ingredients are or something. Like, how do you still appeal to those kind of people? And is it difficult to grow whilst you're maintaining like a high level of ingredients? Like, surely they're more expensive than what other people are using. So how do you kind of navigate that?
The pricing is challenging for us because if with our business model, let's say if we were a much larger company, for our product quality, you would probably be paying about £200, whereas we're selling it for, a candle for £40, £30.
Wow, okay.
So the margins, we don't have huge margins on our product, whereas traditionally in retail, you have, because that's why they can discount so heavily. So they can discount a product for 70% off and still make quite a lot of money.
Right.
So we try to keep it as affordable as possible. We're a small team and we sell mostly direct to consumer. So we sell mostly through our website. And we do have retailers, but we see that more as a like product positioning piece rather than a moneymaker. So unfortunately, we don't make a huge amount from our retailers because we want to keep that price and that value where it is at the moment. Saying that we might increase it in the future if we go more down the retail route, but it is a challenge. But when I started the business, I really didn't want it all to be about margins. And obviously, you need to run a business and you need to like make money.
Yeah.
So and we do, but I didn't want it just to be just about the numbers and just about the margins, and that was quite important to me. So it has to have that love and passion for the product, and also try to keep everyone happy. So good quality at a fair price, I think is quite important.
I suppose that ties back into your journey. Like, there wouldn't have been much point of scrapping the old job and then going into this and just chasing all the money again, because it's kind of just like doing the same thing, same cycle, isn't it? So like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a difference, and also, the more scale you get as a small business, the cheaper your raw materials get. So I kind of always knew that. So even though at very early days we weren't making very much money at all on our products, I knew as we were selling more we would, because the price of the materials would go down. So the more quantity you have, the more margins you have, basically. So the easier it gets. Now, saying that, the more you work with retailers as well, they're like, what's your new products this season? So it keeps you on your toes. But if we don't have anything, it's my business. So I'll say we don't have anything this season, which is fine as well.
Do you remember the first time one of your blends really clicked, and back in the day you were just like, yeah, this could go somewhere more than my kitchen. People will like this.
Yeah, well, Sue's was one of our first blends,
right.
and that's inspired by the Cotswolds and lavender farms, and really creating a sanctuary at home where you can restore and relax. So because I use essential oils a lot to unwind in the evening time, and it's just a really like deeply relaxing blend, and just having the feedback from it from our first family and friends first of all, and then from customers in small markets and local markets, absolutely loved it, and it's still one of our best sellers today. So Selfridges took it, John Lewis took it, and in our workshops it's one of our best sellers, and it was one of the first blends that I created. Lavender is very deeply relaxing for your body, and then eucalyptus is very clearing for your mind. So if you've had a very busy day or a stressful day, beginning was tough, because I launched and then we went into COVID, and we were doing workshops, and then we weren't doing workshops, and then we were doing workshops online, and then but seeing the kind of the momentum we built up during that difficult time, to online workshops, we were sending out kits. I was making them in my flat and posting them out, like it was ridiculous. But seeing the momentum we built up really gave me confidence of saying, if we can get through this difficult time and be successful, we'll be okay after it as well. So I think that really gave me some confidence in the business, and it gave me a lot of resilience as well.
At what point did you feel like you'd gone from hobbyist to business owner? Or did you always have the intention from the start to go straight into business?
I always saw it as a business, and I always took it seriously, because I wanted to impact people, because I could see the difference that they made in my life, not through the scent, but also through kind of just taking a moment to connect with myself, to pause. And I really wanted to spread that. I really felt like people needed in this such a busy life, like day to day, the chaos of the city or just of social media, just to disconnect. And I really was passionate about sharing that. So it wasn't kind of that I wanted to start a global business. It was more that I wanted to impact a lot of people.
Right.
I knew I could help a lot of people.
A lot of the people who are going to be watching this podcast, listen to this podcast, the whole point is sort of picking up tips on usually how to turn their kind of side hustle into what could be a business. But you sort of done it the other way around and been like, I'm starting this because I want to sell it, basically, rather than this is something I do already. Maybe I can make it work full time. You've kind of done it a bit of a different way.
Yeah. I think when I was working in buying and product development, I did kind of tinker around with candles, and I made them just to relax in the evening time.
Right.
So I was doing that for a bit, and giving them to friends and family. And then when I took the break and went to India, and then came back, and I was like, I'm going to start a business properly.
Yeah.
So, but saying that, I was a sole trader for the first year and a bit, even though I always had the vision of, becoming a limited company, and I just felt like there was so much admin and getting the business started. I didn't want to bring another layer on myself. So then I switched to a limited company when I was about a year into the business. So I think it's really important for people just to start as easily as you can, because I think you can overcomplicate it. And that's the route we went down.
Okay.
It mightn't have been like the best business, maybe like financially, but it got me started, and it was the easiest route.
Yeah. Would you be able to explain, maybe, if people are in their proper early days, what the difference is between being a sole trader and a limited business?
So a sole trader is usually just one person, or you might have some freelancers working for you, and the money you're making, you're being personally taxed on. So you just do your personal tax return.
Cool. Right.
So everything you make is kind of looked at as a salary. And when you've got a limited company, the money is coming into the business, and you need to pay yourself a salary.
Right.
So, but that way you can employ people. You have a lot more protection. So say if something goes wrong, you're not, with a business, you're not kind of financially responsible. It's the company that's responsible, rather than you personally.
Right.
Whereas if you're a sole trader, it's on you if anything goes wrong, because you're responsible for the debts, because it's just you as a person.
Cool.
So that's the kind of main difference.
And obviously having a business is where you can sort of, write off certain things due to tax, because if it goes to the business and things like that.
Exactly. So it's much, when you're kind of, they say once you're making over about 40,000 a year, you should change to a limited company. Now, we did go over that, but they say that's kind of the time to change over, just for tax reasons. I
know you were involved with the Back Her Business crowdfunder. Would you mind telling us a bit about that and explaining what that is?
So it's not, unfortunately, it's not around anymore, but NatWest did a crowdfunder where they encouraged female entrepreneurs to submit a business plan, and then to do a fundraising, and they would match the amount of money that you crowdfund.
Wow, okay.
Free. So it was basically like free money.
That's amazing, yeah.
And the business plan you had to submit actually wasn't that high level. It was more of a concept. So they were so generous with the offering, and it really just got me started. Like, that was kind of the seed money that I used to start Yougi. But also it's a good kind of test. So, with any crowdfunding, you're usually selling something. Well, you're either selling part of the business, or you're selling one of your products. And it wasn't an equity fundraise, so we weren't selling part of the business, but we were selling our products. So it was a good way to test because the products weren't made yet. You were just selling the kind of concept, and then they'd be made and delivered in 4 weeks' time once the crowdfund finished. So it was a good way to test what sells, what doesn't, what there's demand for. And
I suppose you've really got to dial in on your descriptions and stuff to sell candles that no one's ever smelt or seen before.
Yeah, you do. It's true. But to be honest with you, it was a lot of friends and family in the crowd, because it wasn't a huge. They Back Her Business capped it at 5,000. So we was just a small, but it was just some seed money to get us started, and also
that's amazing.
It was real feel good, and also they did a lot of marketing around it, and it felt like it was just helping you with the launch of your business as well. So it was an amazing program, and I'm very grateful.
Can you remember how many strangers did buy one? Or just completely random?
I mean, maybe friends of friends, I'd say. Yeah, maybe people sharing it on their network.
Yeah.
Right. I can't remember, but I mean, we had about...
It was an inside job, this.
Yeah. We had maybe 60 or 70 purchases, and that made up the money.
The wellbeing and natural fragrance space is definitely becoming super competitive now. Like, it's easy to see that, online, on the high street. Everywhere's kind of got stuff now like that. You can get nice candles from B&M. You can get them, the scale is just massive. You can get nice stuff from everywhere. So how do you ensure that Yougi stands out from the other clean brands?
So I think it's important as well to differentiate clean with natural. So a lot of clean brands are synthetic and natural, but they just don't have the harmful irritants in it. And obviously neither do the natural. But a lot of clean brands are actually mostly synthetic, and then natural should be 100% natural.
Right.
So it's clean and natural versus maybe synthetic and clean. So I think, again, it comes back to storytelling. So if you buy, say, a natural, and usually if you buy a candle at a supermarket, it's usually not going to be natural.
No.
It's about the story that we tell. It's about, also pushing my story and telling my story and like the passion and the small business and the team behind it. And then sourcing our products, our raw materials from the UK. So again, it goes back to just having that kind of like storytelling and also the transparency across the brand, which I don't feel like if you bought a candle in a supermarket that you would have the same feeling. So, but you know, it's tough. And but again, coming back to more well-being brands, I think it's a really good thing because people really need it. Like they really need like well-being. And when people come into our Shoreditch studio, they're like, oh, it's just like a spa, you know, and they just like, you can see them just like exhale, and they're coming from like busy city and they're coming in and it's full of plants and it's full of essential oils, and they have like an hour, 2 hours just to immerse themselves in scent and choosing or creating something, or creating a perfume, creating a candle, and you can see their like shoulders have dropped at the end of it. So people do need it. So I don't think it's a bad thing. And hopefully like our product quality just speaks for itself. So we've got a lot of return customers. We have people as well coming to our workshops for years. Like it's a lot of people's annual Christmas tradition to come to one of our Christmas candle making workshops. So hopefully it just speaks for itself a lot of the time. But you know, business-wise, it is difficult. But I would say that really the thing is for us that works is storytelling.
Can you tell us what marketing strategies have been best for you, like in terms of PR, workshops, collabs? Do you get involved in any of those sides of it as well? Do you work with anyone else? Yeah, we
do all of them. So in the early stages, we did a lot, and we don't do it anymore, and we probably should. It's just time is, we don't have as much time, and we've got quite a small team, but we did a lot of gifting when we first started. So influencer gifting, but it's called influencer gifting now, but then I just sent people that I like candles, and they'd talk about them if they liked them. So that was great. And on the back of that, we did get actually some press, and we were very lucky to get featured in Vanity Fair 3 times. Wow. And Time Out. Oh, yeah. We were featured best class. We were featured in Time Out twice.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Red Magazine, best Christmas gifts, Times Magazine. And that was all from us just either sending them a candle or just sending them an email. And I think I usually send those emails myself, in the early days anyway. And it was just like a heartfelt email, like not too long, not corporate, just if you love it, like I'd really appreciate your support. And people really resonate with that. You know, people connect with other people. And if they like you, they like the candle or the product, you know, they'll mention it. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like some of those names, they're big time names. Like if you can get a dent in there, like that's really gonna increase your visibility to so many people. You know, sending potentially 1 candle or a couple of candles or something. The return you can get back on that if you printed in Time Out or somewhere like that, it's obviously worth it. Like it's so good. But that little personal touch of being like a heartfelt email or something is going to really, I think, help.
Yeah, I would say that's the best approach that's worked for us. And then we've done collaborations. We've done collaborations with yoga studios, other well-being brands, maybe not candles, but are aligned. Like we've done yoga gear. We've done like food supplements, natural food supplements. So we've done quite a few collaborations, tea. And then we do a lot of like collaborations on Instagram as well with other brands. And so we kind of we say yes to a lot of things, and we try a lot of different things. Some things don't resonate and some things do, but I think it's always a good learning. And until you try something, you don't know. So that's kind of my motto.
Have any of those marketing channels like surprised you?
I think with the PR and the collaborations, definitely with the PR, it's about brand positioning. So people are like, oh my God, like you're in Selfridges, you're in Times Magazine, like you've made it. But, you know, the paper is just around for one day, or the magazine is just around. So you'll get a spike, but then it drops, right?
Okay.
So then it's about getting those customers back again. So if they love the product, they'll come back. But with all that, a lot of the value is in the positioning. So we're featured in Vanity Fair. That's like a premium edition. So then our positioning is more premium. So it's aligning with our quality of our ingredients and with our customers. So there's kind of it's not only sales, it's in like the positioning of the brand as well. A lot of the value, I see it. And then we can use that in marketing as well. So like featured in Time Out, featured in Vanity Fair called our candles heavenly. That's great. So when we can use that forever.
Yeah.
So I see it as, it's not just sales, it's kind of a lot, it's bringing like value and position to the brand.
You have a very loyal following from your customers, on socials, through the products. How do you keep nurturing that relationship beyond just selling a product?
I think the workshops really, are really the kind of cherry on top. So they might buy the candle, they love it. They buy a diffuser and, they pass it every day and they love it. But then coming to the workshop and really learning about it, that's where people really resonate with the brand, and they understand it, and they really like feel the benefits of it. Of course, they can bring that into their home as well and feel the benefits of it. But I think it's an extra dimension when you come visit us in person.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about your social media strategy and just how you curate what you do? Do you have a specific theme, a look, just what you do, and then maybe a bit of advice for people back home, how they can nail it as well?
Well, I don't know if we've nailed it, but I feel like we're constantly changing and tweaking it because the algorithms have changed so much. But we try to keep consistent with our brand. So like our colors, our font. So when you look at it, or even our photography. So when you look at it, you know that it's a Yougi brand. So that's really important. And
it's super clean. It's very easy on the eye, I would say. It's like a relaxing vibe, like it does come through.
We try to make it as like calming and educational, that it really kind of, I suppose, captures the feeling of the brand and the candles, and really taking a moment to yourself to relax and unwind and disconnect. But it is a bit of a struggle, to be honest with you, always thinking of new ideas. And also I personally have a little bit of a love-hate relationship, because we're a wellness brand, and social media isn't great for people's mind, but then you kind of need to be on it to promote your business. And so that's why we try to, when we do it, we try to make it, if you are watching one of our reels, that it's a relaxing experience. It's not, jumping around the place, like going to make you feel more anxious or so that's why we do that. But it's getting harder and harder, and it's very time consuming creating content. And we have an amazing lady, Alicia, at the moment, who works on our social, and she works on our newsletters as well. So she prepares that, and I work very closely with her to do the content strategy and and everything. But just as a founder and running a business, product-based business and a workshop business, it's just very hard. It's like a full-time job, basically.
So is the social media, so is the admin side. You have to wear so many hats, don't you? And they all take up so much time. How many other people have you got on the team? You just mentioned Alicia. Have you got many others, or?
Yeah, we've got 7 people on the team.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So we have we have a production unit in Lee, where we do all our making and production. So Charlotte runs that. And then we've got social. We have Zoe, who books in people into workshops, and then we have all our hosts as well.
Cool.
So we have different hosts for different workshops, and then we've got assistants as well. If it's a very busy workshop, we'll have an assistant host as well. So I used to teach all the workshops myself, but now as the business grows, I only teach occasionally, because I love it. But I train all there. So most of my time now goes on training the hosts, making sure that they have.
You can't be everywhere at once either, can you? So it's good to have extra bodies around to be able to do it.
And also when I do it, I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was getting to a stage where I was teaching so much, I was getting tired and I wasn't as enjoying it as much. And that comes across.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing it, I want to do it passionately and it is my passion. So, and that does come across, but I didn't want that to go. So now, yeah, I spread. And also it's just, when I do teach, it's really enjoyable. And to be honest with you, the team are just as good, if not better than me. So I'm very happy to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, no, they are. They're amazing.
Has anyone ever approached you to potentially open like another site somewhere else in the country, or potentially franchise or something like that?
Yeah, we've been asked to franchise the business quite a bit, actually, and it's not something I felt like we were at stage to do properly. Like we weren't big enough.
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of get more established in the UK and then look at it. We get a lot of people coming from the Middle East to our workshops. So from Dubai and also from Saudi Arabia. So that could be a potential.
I mean, fragrance is obviously very big in that side of the world.
Yeah, we've had people, like quite a few people just fly over for a weekend to come to a workshop.
That's crazy. Fair play.
I know. So, which is amazing. But yeah, so Middle East is on the cards, America, and potentially Australia.
Okay.
Australia more for the workshop side, I think would be very good.
Yeah.
I know ClassBento is there as well, so that would be helpful. There's a lot of different options, but yeah, we're looking at those markets at the moment. I would say licensing or franchising is probably a little bit off yet because I need to learn more about it first. So it's whether we do it that way or we just do it ourselves.
You've already got this team underneath you, so you've got experience of how to like teach people properly and make sure that they maintain those standards.
Yeah.
So why not? Yeah, I mean, why not let it get bigger if the opportunity comes up?
Yeah, I think it would be exciting. It would be, and it's you know, helping and adding, you know, joy to people's lives. So may as well spread it. We're looking at a second space in London as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
So we have our Shoreditch studio where we do all our workshops, and we have a small shop there. And then we're looking at, hopefully, a space in central London.
Amazing.
Yeah, TBC.
Are you able to tell me the benefits on one hand and then the challenges on the other hand of now having a team?
Yeah, having a team has been really life-changing, and having the right team is important. So I was doing everything for, you know, the first year. I was packing boxes, I was doing the Instagram, I was taking bookings, emails, and then the first few years I worked with a coach, which I think is very important because I was always used to having a manager and having someone kind of to talk to, and just being one person. That was actually something I would recommend to any business kind of person who's just starting.
Okay.
And she said, Emily, you're going to burn out again if you don't get someone to help you. And I was like, you're right. You know, so she said, you don't have to hire someone full time. Just hire someone for 2 hours a week to start off with, to help you with your emails and admin, and then build it up. It'll only cost you, you know, it won't be very expensive if someone's just doing 2 hours a week. And I did that, and gradually then gave them more work, and then, you know, saw the benefits, and then the team expanded. So it's been fantastic because I'm not good at everything. So I hire people who are better at things than me. Like, for example, Charlotte, who works in our production, she's got a real eye for detail and managing stock, and, you know, her attention to detail is excellent. So if that's not something that I want to spend my time doing, but also I'm not good at it.
Right.
So she's great at that and she enjoys it. So these people are good at different things, and that frees me up to concentrate on what I'm good at.
Cool.
So I'm good at product development. I'm good at marketing. I love developing new concepts. I'm more of a high level thinker. So like I'm good at thinking of the next thing. And then I can delegate the work to people I trust that are going to kind of, you know, do a great job. So it's been really, it's been fantastic. But I would say start small, and then if you're kind of feeling that, you know, nervous about hiring someone, and you don't have to hire them full time, you could, you know, just get a freelancer to start off with, and just delegate anything that isn't in your zone of genius, which you don't maybe enjoy doing, or isn't pushing the business forward, or you're not good at.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Good advice there. I think not only on sort of building the team, but also on just how to be self-aware and knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, and just being open about that and being fine about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be good at everything. Like,
no, and I think that's really important. And I say that to the team, like, if they're doing something better than me, like, I will say, you're much better than this than me, which is great. And they love that too.
Yeah.
But it's more human. Your boss doesn't have to know everything, and they know what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And they respect that. And I think it's a very healthy way to work. Whereas when I worked in corporate, you could never question, and the team wouldn't question me, but sometimes they'll make a suggestion and like, I think we should do it this way, and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Whereas it was more of a like, I don't know if I would be that confident doing that in a corporate environment.
Right.
And I just didn't want to have that environment in my business. I didn't want people as well sitting in meetings all day, every day.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, and it's not a great way to live.
Nice.
So I wanted people to feel empowered, to be self-sufficient, I know that they're good at it, mm-hmm. and they check in with me, and as long as they're getting it done and doing a good job and they're enjoying it, that's the metric.
That's amazing. And what about challenges? Because you've had lots of like glowing stuff about the team, but is there any challenges? Has it all just been good?
No. I mean, there have been challenges. I think hiring the right people, I always hire for like passion and attitude. So if the person doesn't have the right skill set necessarily, I feel like people can be trained, but they have to have the right attitude, and they have to have like a willingness to learn and to develop. And I feel like you should develop people's strengths, not their weaknesses. So if someone's good at something, double down on that. Because you can always find in a startup, a small business, you always need different things. So if you spot a talent in someone, give them that leeway to kind of run with that, as long as it's obviously benefiting the business. It's not something totally random, but I really kind of believe in that, rather than kind of shoehorning people into like a certain role and saying you have to do this. Trying to find their strength and doubling down on that is a much more effective way. Because
I love that. Yeah, I think everyone should do that.
Because they're going to enjoy it. They're going to feel empowered. Yeah. You're going to get the most out of them. And everyone is happy. So
all the way back to when you were first starting out with Yougi, what advice would you give yourself? I would say, like, trust your instinct and just follow what excites you one step at a time. Because kind of overthinking of it, you can get overwhelmed quite easily, having your own business, and there's so many different avenues. But just following kind of those like breadcrumbs of like joy or what feels right, I think for me has been the best way. Not kind of overthinking things or getting too anxious about things. If it feels right, if it's a nice like collaboration, leaving yourself open to things. How we got into Selfridges is the buyer came to one of our workshops, our candle workshops, and I was just chatting to her. And, I don't chat to everyone in the workshop, but I try to chat to as many people as I can. And I was saying, well, did you come from work? And she was like, oh yeah, I work for Selfridges. I actually am the candle buyer. And I was like, oh my God. So at the end of the class, she was like, we'd love to have maybe to have a sample, or I could put you forward. And she was an assistant buyer, so she wasn't like a very high level, but it's those coincidences or synchronicities that I think if you follow them, they always lead somewhere, I think. Was she there for fun, or was she there with the intention? There for fun. Yeah. So that's crazy then. Yeah. She was just there randomly with a friend. And I think her friend had bought the ticket. It wasn't even her that brought her along. Right. Yeah. So that worked out nicely then. Yeah. So just following that and just having trust that, it will work out in the end. I think that was, and not kind of overthinking what people think as well. I think that's a big thing for people starting a business, and certainly was for me. Like, what will people think? Giving up my job,
Now I'm just like selling candles in a market. What will my family think? All those things. You just listen to yourself. Like, what do you want? Like, what's your vision? And then, when people as well, not listening to the chatter, because people will try to protect you in the early stages, think you shouldn't do it, you should take a safe job, you should, you spent all this time, building up your career. But just listen to yourself, I think that would be probably be my number one piece of advice.
Coming from a corporate background, what did you find most rewarding about stepping into the role of a teacher and running these workshops?
I mean, meeting people, like seeing their faces light up. I think seeing people like transform from quite a stressed to like a very calm, centered person at the end of the workshop has been probably the most rewarding. I love that. People come in and they're just like, so nice to be here. It smells so good. Like that's the first thing everyone says when they come in. And then it's such a bright, space. We've got a glass roof. We've got loads of plants.
Nice.
It's a lovely space to be in. We've got some like chilled music. So it's kind of it's all kind of part of the experience. And I think it's seeing people's faces light up. And it's also seeing people who maybe have a 9-to-5 job or an accountant or using their analytical brain all day, every day. And they come to a perfume workshop and they're creating a scent story and they're, mixing sandalwood and cedarwood and vanilla and cade. And they're like, what the hell is cade? And it's like, it's from a tree in South America and it smells smoky. And they're like, oh my God. So it's like kind of bringing like the other side of their brain alive, and people just completely switch off.
Yeah, I was going to say, do people like try and work it out sort of analytically? Like they'll be like, there's a science to this, I need to do this and that and this, and it has to be perfect measurements and weights of each.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more difficult for some people than others. And you can see at the beginning of the class, sometimes people with that more analytical brain get quite frustrated and they're like, just give me a recipe. and we're like, why? It's more of an art. You have to get your sense story. Of course, we could give them a recipe and we do have those as backups. But the idea is that you create something unique yourself and it comes from one of your memories. So we really try to encourage them then to, explain it and break it down and give them kind of like hold their hand a little bit. But some people find it easier than others. But even if they overcome that frustration, which mostly they do, then they're like, oh my God, like that's amazing. So you can really see them kind of getting into their kind of creativity and like a flow state then.
Do you find people really enjoy the learning process of creating a scent? Maybe even more than the actual finished product?
Yes, I think, well, hopefully they have both. But yes, I see them as kind of two separate things. So the workshop, the experience, you're really immersed, you're in a flow state, creating the scent story. You've got 30 different essential oils in the perfume workshop to choose from. So they're smelling all those. And then hopefully they do have a finished product as well. But, it's hard to make a masterpiece sometimes when you're doing it for the first time and you've got an hour and a half. So a lot of people make really beautiful scents. Some people's first scent is okay. Then their second scent they've learned a lot and is really beautiful. So so hopefully they do have both, but they absolutely love the process. And then we really encourage people to use scent intentionally. So to set an intention or to make a wish. And then every time they use the scent or smell it, they come back to that thing. So it creates a positive loop, but it's also a really nice mindfulness practice.
How do you structure the workshops? Do you have like a template that you've kind of set now, and every time you come up with a new class, you kind of follow that? Or do you wing it? How do you do it?
Yeah, we do have structure to our classes because we now have like many different hosts. We need consistency across the classes.
Yeah,
but with we have kind of not a formula, but across all our workshops, we have an introduction which tells the story of the brand and then of how scent is created, so top, middle, base notes, then a little bit about kind of scent, like what scents do they like, what's the memory connected to it, and then we go into the individual, like the making, so setting up the candle, the details of the perfume, to starting, creating the scent story, choosing the scents, soap making, so then we go into the actual making, and then at the end we talk a little bit about the aromatherapy, the therapeutic benefits,
Nice.
and the materials as well. So, it does vary from host to host because they all have different personalities.
Yeah.
So some of our hosts are like really funny, and then some of them are really calm. It's a little bit like a yoga teacher, they could be teaching the same class, but it's slightly different vibe, or you prefer one over the other, but they're all amazing, but they all bring their personality to it as well.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's not going to be ever going to be the exact same class. And also when you're making something, even if you come to the same class 20 times, you're going to make it slightly differently. So it's always going to be like, we have people coming back 3 or 4 times to our perfume making class, and they have different experience because they're making something different.
How do you balance the sort of storytelling aspects of the workshop alongside the practical elements? I bet that's been quite difficult.
Yeah, I think once you've done the workshop a few times, you get into like a flow, and you understand timings and how long it takes people. So as part of the kind of intro, we tell, for example, in the candle making class, when they're choosing their scent, they're smelling them, and then we're telling the stories behind every scent. So obviously we don't go on for like 2 hours telling that. We keep it to 5 minutes or so, but we make it interactive and we make it fun, and so everything, all the details are thought about. We freestyle within, I suppose, within a limit, if that makes sense.
What do you hope people walk away from a Yougi class with, other than a great smelling product? What do you want them to achieve?
A feeling, really, like a feeling of calm, of hope, of being centered, grounded, whatever they need. Because you always say during the class, you're attracted to what you need. So if you smell something and you absolutely love it, that's what your body needs. So, and they have set their intention, and then they come back to that thing every time they use the candle. So they've got a lovely experience. They've got a good smelling candle or perfume, and then they have a little ritual that they can do at home themselves to center themselves or to bring them joy or whatever that you need in that moment.
If you have one tip to give to the viewers who are potentially looking to quit their jobs, quit their 9-to-5s, and go full time with their creative hobby, what tip would it be?
I would say you just get started. Just start small, and give it to friends and family. Get feedback, improve. Go to a small market, get some momentum. That's what I would do if it's a small hobby. Kind of different if you're kind of starting and you're like a full blast startup and you want to hire staff straight away. But if you're just starting small, if it's a hobby, I would just say just get started and build your confidence, and then learn as much as you can along the way.
Last question, best question.
Okay.
If you could have one person, past or present, living or dead, to attend one of your workshops, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think it would probably be Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, okay.
Yeah, and I would probably, maybe he could do kind of get up on a stool and play the guitar.
Okay, yeah.
Do a little song, set the vibe for the workshop.
Right.
And then make a candle. But I just think he's got such a calm presence and such a beautiful voice, and it'd be quite cool, I think.
Thank you so much, Emily, for coming and doing the podcast. You've said some fantastic stuff. I hope you've enjoyed it. And for anybody watching back home, you can check out Emily's workshops, check out her products. They're all on ClassBento, but also on her own website, and that is Yougi Botanicals. So please do check it out. If you're in London, come do one of the classes. Do you do them anywhere else at the minute?
Just Shoreditch at the moment.
Just Shoreditch.
Yeah, we do occasional collaborations with members clubs and things like that. But
Cool.
every week, every Wednesday, Thursday, and all day Saturday, all day Sunday, we've got workshops in Fashion Street in Shoreditch.
If you're in London, come check out the workshops. If not, buy a candle online because they're all going to smell amazing. Thank you again for coming. I hope you've had a nice time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.